I won't ask how long you've loved her, because honestly, time doesn't matter. There are people you meet just a few times, yet they haunt you for years. What I want to ask is, aren't you tired? Tired of pretending you're okay when everything inside is tangled? Tired of your heart skipping every time your phone buzzes, only to crash with disappointment? Tired of knowing she's not meant for you, but still not letting go? Not because you lack reason, but because you're afraid that if you let go, you'll lose something beautiful you once believed in. I know that feeling. I've been there. And if you're still there, this is for you. I'm not here to offer comfort. I'm here to give you 5 truths you need to face. They'll hurt, but they're clear. And maybe, just maybe, they'll help pull you out of the hole you walked into. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and like if you're new here. It helps me keep bringing you more valuable content. I don't know when you started loving her. Maybe it was a glance at a red light. Maybe it was a random text that hit you right when you needed someone. Maybe you didn't call it love at first. You just felt happy talking to her. You felt lighter getting a little attention, even if it was barely anything. But those little moments, they carved deeper into your heart than you expected. And so, you began to hope. You didn't say it out loud. I get it, you're a man. We don't admit we're dreaming. But inside, you started building scenarios that if you were patient enough, genuine enough, she'd notice. That if you did a little more, she'd feel something. That if you were always there when she needed someone, one day she'd look at you differently. But what did she give you in return? Silence. A message you sent in the morning, finally seen the next night. Cold, hollow replies, just enough to get it over with. Conversations that only one person is trying to keep alive. One side, you, writing more, trying more, waiting more. The other, her stepping back, colder with every move. I've been there. I know that feeling. Believing in something that, deep down, you know isn't real. You know she doesn't love you. You know you're reading into signs that only exist in your imagination. But still, you cling. Why? Because of hope. Hope is a double-edged blade. It makes you endure more than you should, but it also blinds you worse than anything else. She never promised you anything. She never said she loved you. You created that story in your head. You built this image of a warm, sweet, caring woman, even though the person you're in love with might not be any of that. You're in love with a version you invented. You love what she could be, not who she is. That's the first mistake. You're in love with an illusion. And the brutal thing about illusions is they never respond to your feelings. They just sit there, silent, cold, and yet you still think there's a chance. Stoicism calls this a failure of perception. Epictetus said, it's not events that hurt us, but our thoughts about them. And your thoughts are wrong. You think if you try hard enough, love will bloom. But she doesn't live in your world. You live on hope. She lives on indifference. And the hardest truth? She's not wrong. That's right. She's not to blame for not loving you. Feelings aren't something you control. She doesn't love you. That's just how it is. No one's at fault for that. But your mistake? You know she doesn't love you, and you stay anyway. You choose to remain. You allow yourself to be ignored. You accept being the one who always waits. Waits for a text, waits for a glance, waits for attention, and it's the waiting that's breaking you. Love isn't supposed to be begging for scraps, but in this situation, you've made yourself into someone who begs for emotional crumbs from someone who never intended to feed you. Every time she smiles, you think something changed. Every time she replies just as you're ready to give up, you believe she's starting to care. But in truth, she's just being polite, or maybe not even aware. And you're reading too much into every little thing. Seneca once wrote, if we're not alert, we wander in darkness thinking we're headed toward the light. That's you right now. You think you're in love, but really, you're addicted. You're holding on to a fire that doesn't burn, a love that doesn't return. A connection that only exists on your side. And the more you love, the more lost you feel. You don't even know what you want anymore. You can't tell what's real and what's just in your head. All you know is, every day, you're still hoping for a message. Every time your phone lights up, your heart skips. And every time it's not her, it crashes. Is that love? No, that's obsession wrapped in the skin of love. That's the desperation to be seen by someone you gave way too much meaning to. It's a one-man show with two names on the poster. Marcus Aurelius said, "Don't wish the world would change. Change the way you see the world." It's time to change how you see her. See clearly, so you can let go clearly. Stop calling this unrequited love. Call it what it really is, being stuck in a fantasy. And fantasies don't need more emotion. They need clarity and the strength to walk away. I'm not telling you to hate her. I just want you to face the truth. You love someone who doesn't love you. And if you keep living off hope while she keeps living off apathy, then the one who will keep hurting, the one who will keep bleeding dry, will always be you. And then the worst thing begins to happen. Not that she hurts you, but that you gave her the power to do it. Sounds strange, doesn't it? But look closer. She never begged for your love. She never sat down and said, "Wait for me, I'll love you back someday." No, she's just living her life, cold, calm, like you don't even exist. And you, clinging to a one-sided feeling, handed her full permission to crush your spirit. No one made you hurt, except you. We think pain comes from the outside, from what others do. But in reality, most suffering starts when we open the door and invite it in. We open the door, we roll out the mat, we offer it a seat. Marcus Aurelius said it best. No one can hurt you unless you give them permission. I don't know a better way to describe where you are right now. You've handed your entire emotional world to someone who doesn't care to hold it. You've put your soul in the hands of someone who doesn't even try to hold it gently. And you call that love? It's not love. It's emotional slavery. You're not in love with her. You're emotionally dependent on her. Your mood swings with every message she sends or doesn't send. One half-assed reply lifts your whole day. One silence keeps you up all night. One careless, "You're annoying," tightens your chest for a week. So tell me, are you even yourself anymore? I've lived that feeling. Waking up in the morning and grabbing your phone, not to check work, not to call your mom, not to message friends, but to see if she was online, if she saw your message. If maybe, just maybe, there was some tiny hint that gave you hope. Living as if your entire existence hinged on the reactions of someone who barely acknowledges you. That's a form of self-destruction you don't even notice. You've made yourself the one who waits. Every day, every minute, you let her control your mental state, your joy, your sadness, your hope, your despair, all orbiting one person who never had plans to make you part of her life. And here's the sick twist. The more you hurt, the harder you try. The colder she gets, the more you scramble to prove yourself. You send flowers, you check in, you send music. You wait around for hours just to coincidentally show up when she needs someone. You think she's just afraid of love. She needs time. I'll be the one who helps her believe again. But that's a movie you wrote, directed, and star in alone. Meanwhile, she's living her normal life, laughing with others, posting stories, going out, smiling, and in all of it, you don't exist. Wake up. Anyone who makes you question your own worth, who keeps you dangling in confusion, who blurs the line between love and indifference, is not your person. Not now. Not ever. Epictetus taught, happiness doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering yourself. You can't force someone to love you, but you can control whether or not you continue to give them the power to hurt you. And that power, no one asked for it. You handed it over. You let them step past your boundaries. You stretched yourself thinner and thinner until even you forgot where your limits used to be. One day, you'll realize you gave up too much, pulled back too far, shrank yourself just to fit into a space where no one ever invited you. Love should never cost you your value. It shouldn't have you sitting around like a beggar for scraps of affection. It shouldn't make you doubt your own worth. She's not a bad person, but she doesn't love you. And if you keep staying, keep sacrificing, keep enduring, it's not her fault anymore. It's yours. Stoicism doesn't teach you to blame others. It teaches you to clearly see what's within your control and what isn't. Her feelings, not in your control. But whether or not you keep suffering because of them, that's entirely on you. Look in the mirror and ask yourself, am I still a man if I let my emotions be ruled by someone who's not even trying for me? If that answer chokes you up, then it's time to walk away. Not out of anger, not to prove a point, but to save yourself. No one deserves to be broken by unreturned love. But if you keep staying, keep offering your heart where there's no space for it, you're not just the one being hurt. You're also the one allowing the pain to continue. And when you finally understand that, truly understand, you'll take your emotional power back. You'll stop waiting, you'll stop chasing, you'll stop holding out for someday. Because you'll know, someone who doesn't love you should never have the right to hurt you. Not everyone has the patience to watch until the end, but those who do are always the ones who go further than the rest. If you're one of them, subscribe and like. We're on the same team. What wounds a man the most in a relationship isn't outright rejection. It's ambiguity. It's when he knows deep down that she has no intention of walking with him, yet he keeps trying to believe. A glance, a phrase, a coincidence, a tiny fragment of attention in the chaos of emotion. He grabs hold of it, gives it meaning, and lies to himself. I've seen men like that. Hell, I was one of them. Men who knew their hearts were being wrung dry but still called it love. Who knew she didn't feel the same, but clung to ideas like, she just needs time, she's busy, she's bad at expressing emotions. Sentences that sound kind, sound patient, but are really just shields to avoid facing the truth. And the very desire to be loved, that's what tricks them. Not her, not the situation, themselves. They convince themselves that hope still exists. Desire is dangerous, it distorts reality. You see her coldness and call it shyness. She leaves your texts unanswered for hours or forever, and you say she's conflicted. You watch her laugh freely with others, yet avoid you, and think she's just scared of how much she feels. You rationalize every irrational sign just to protect one thing, the belief that you still have a chance. That's not love, that's delusion. And delusion never leads to peace. It drags you deeper, builds a fantasy world where you play the good guy, the patient, loyal, kind-hearted man, and someday she'll see it. But that world only exists in your head. Out there, the woman you're waiting for isn't even thinking about you. She's living her life, maybe with someone else. And in her entire journey, you don't exist. I've been in that exact place. I know what it feels like when the doubt starts creeping in and you start questioning yourself. At first I thought, just try a little harder. But the harder I tried, the more exhausted I became. And then it turned inward. I started blaming myself. Maybe I wasn't good enough. Maybe I came on too strong. Maybe I messed something up. From a man who loved sincerely, I turned into someone who doubted his own worth. And that's when I realized I wasn't broken by her. I was broken by my own damn desire. Stoicism has a painfully simple truth. We don't suffer from events, we suffer from how we think about them. And I was thinking all wrong. I thought that if I was kind enough, persistent enough, never gave up, she would eventually feel something. But I ignored the facts. Her every action said the opposite. She didn't need me. She didn't want me. She didn't care if I was there or gone. And instead of seeing that, I obsessed over every little scrap, as if I could glue a shattered mirror back together with shards. You might be doing that right now, and you're tired. You're confused. You feel like a fool who knows he's being iced out but still hangs on. You're not alone. So many men have been there. It's instinct. Pride mixed with belief. It creates a kind of backward resistance. You know she doesn't love you, but you won't admit it because admitting it feels like losing. And men hate to lose, especially in love. But here's a truth you need to swallow. In love, there is no win or lose. There's only right person or wrong person. She doesn't love you, not because you lack anything, not because you're unworthy, but simply because her heart didn't choose you. That's not some brutal judgment, it's just life. It doesn't define your value. But if you keep holding on to the illusion that just a bit more effort will change it, you are the one making yourself pitiful. Step back. Look at this not through the eyes of a man in love, but through the mind of a man who's grown. You'll see the signs you ignored, the texts you kept sending with no reply, the excuses you made to keep going, and you'll realize it wasn't her silence that hurt you the most. It was your own hopeless waiting. She doesn't owe you her love, but you owe yourself the truth. If you don't stop now, you'll keep getting hurt. Not because she's doing it, but because you're doing it to yourself, by hoping in the wrong place. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it." Change your perspective. Stop dressing reality in romantic colors. Call it what it is. She doesn't love you. You are not loved back. And if you keep hoping, you're not being romantic. You're lying to yourself. When you can see that, when you stop running from it, when you peel away each layer of fantasy you've wrapped around your heart, you'll begin to see light again. Not from her, but from within you. Because now, you've stopped lying to yourself. And that's when healing begins. There's a stage in one-sided love that no one teaches men to recognize. It's when you've lost control over your own emotions. When your entire mood is dictated not by what happens in your life, but by one person's response, or more accurately, their indifference. Whether you're happy or crushed depends on whether she texts or doesn't, whether she's online or not, whether your message has been seen or still left hanging. Do you even realize it? You've turned yourself into a signal-seeking machine, scanning for a flicker of hope from someone who's never truly thought of you with any seriousness. I've lived that life. And honestly, it was one of the darkest phases of mine. Every morning, the first thing I did wasn't exercise, check work, or call my parents or teammates. I grabbed my phone. I checked her last scene. I reread old messages. I replayed every word I'd said, wondering if I'd slipped up, if I'd annoyed her. I did that every damn day, like a toxic ritual I'd hardwired into my brain, and I called it love. But it wasn't love, it was dependence, emotional dependence, a state where my well-being lived and died by someone else's attention. And the worst part? That person didn't even care. That kind of feeling destroys men. It erodes your sense of self. It makes you question your instincts, your emotions, your choices, your worth. You slowly stop knowing who you are. One text and you light up like a kid. No text and you're moody, bitter, cold to everyone who actually cares about you. You push friends away. You lose your drive. You stop feeling excited about anything that used to make you feel alive, because all your energy is orbiting someone who never made you a priority. Stoicism calls this the core failure of an adult, letting external things dictate your inner world. Epictetus taught, if something is outside your control, don't let it rule your mind. But when you base your emotions on someone who doesn't love you, you've handed them the steering wheel to your life, and they never even took it. So now you sit there, hands off the wheel, veering off course, heading straight for a cliff. I used to think it was just a phase. I told myself, it'll get better. But nothing got better until I stopped. Until I took the wheel back. Until I faced the truth. My emotions can't belong to someone who doesn't want me. I have to choose happiness, not because she texts. I have to choose peace, not because she seems or doesn't. I have to live, for me, not wait for someone else to allow me to feel joy or sadness. And here's the strange thing. The moment I reclaimed my emotional independence, I saw it clearly. She never did anything wrong. She simply didn't love me. But I, by holding on to the belief that she should, handed over all of my emotional power to someone who never intended to hold it. I let that dependency happen. No one forced me. I chose it. Every time I checked my phone, every time I waited, every time I reacted, I was reprogramming myself to believe I needed her to feel okay. And that belief killed my freedom. No one deserves to be imprisoned by their own emotions, especially not men. We're never taught how to talk about this stuff, so we swallow it. And the more we swallow, the easier it becomes to be controlled. One vague message, one Instagram story, one emoji, and your whole day spins out. Ask yourself, why does someone have so much power in your mind when they've done nothing to earn it? The answer is, you gave it to them, voluntarily, which means you can take it back. Here's the truth. You don't need her to feel whole. You don't need someone to love you in order to be worthy. You don't need to cling to someone else's emotional weather just to feel like you matter. You already have everything you need, you just forgot. You were pulled off course by a one-way emotion, and in trying to keep it alive, you abandoned yourself. I'm not saying this to make you feel guilty. I'm saying it so you can see it clearly. If your emotional state depends on someone else, it's not them controlling you. It's you abandoning yourself. It's time to tighten the grip. Time to reclaim your emotional power. No one can hurt you unless you give them the right. No one can shake you unless you're leaning on them to stand. And no one can pull you out of this state of dependence except you. Stop checking your phone. Stop analyzing texts. Stop hoping for what your heart already knows isn't there. Instead, turn inward. Go back to what used to light you up. Reconnect with the people who gave you good energy. Work, train, write, journal. Rewire the emotional system that's been out of sync for far too long. And slowly you'll realize you don't need her to feel alive anymore. And that right there, that's a kind of freedom no one can ever take away. No man loses his self-respect all at once. It doesn't vanish in some loud collapse. There's no alarm. It slips away quietly, bit by bit, every time you bend a little more, every time you let someone treat you like you don't matter and say nothing, every time you whisper to yourself, maybe I'm just not good enough, and then try to change, not to grow, but to fit into the image of someone else's expectations. And just like that, day after day, week after week, month after month, you lose yourself without even realizing it. I used to think I was strong. I believed that as long as I loved sincerely, there was nothing shameful about it. But one day I looked at myself and saw a man turning into a shadow, a man waiting around for someone else to validate him, a man willing to change everything just to hold on to someone who clearly didn't want to stay, a man who kept saying it's fine while quietly cracking inside, a man who wasn't himself anymore. And the wake-up call didn't come from a big event or some sudden heartbreak. It was one sentence I read: if a relationship demands you sacrifice your self-respect, you're not in love, you're in submission. That line hit like a punch. I sat there, frozen. And for the first time in months, I admitted something real. I had been shrinking, getting smaller, becoming less, just to hold on to someone I once thought was my fate. You might be in that space right now. You think if you're just more patient, more understanding, more forgiving, she'll come around. But ask yourself, when did love become a test of how much suffering you can take? When did one person's effort become expected, while the other's coldness gets forgiven without question? That's not love. Real love grows both people. It doesn't build one up by breaking the other down. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, if you feel like you have to change your nature to please someone, then you don't need that person in your life. It's not easy to hear, but it's true, especially in these one-sided situations, because you're not just loving her, you're distorting yourself to fit someone who never bothered to understand who you really are. And worse, you think that's noble. You're trying to prove your worth. You're chasing recognition. You're giving up your time, your energy, your mind, your masculinity, just to get a nod, a glance, a sign that you're not invisible. But here's the truth. She sees everything. She just doesn't respond. And you're not fighting for love. You're fighting for your own sense of value. I don't blame you. I get you. I know deep down there's a good man in you. A man who just wants to be loved for everything he truly is. But let me be blunt. If you have to constantly prove your value to someone who refuses to see it, the problem isn't you. It's where you're placing your belief. Self-respect is the one thing that keeps a man standing. Without it, you can still show up at work, still wear the suit, still smile in public, still rack up achievements, but inside you're hollow. You'll feel lost, disconnected, aimless, like you're watching life happen through a window, stuck on pause. And the most painful part? No one can hand you your self-respect back. You have to take it yourself. You have to stop. You have to look in the mirror and ask, do I still respect the man I see? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter how deeply you love her. You need to let go. Not because the love is gone, but because you can't keep loving someone else while slowly losing love for yourself. Stoicism doesn't teach rigidity. It teaches inner strength. Strength in knowing your values. Strength in standing firm in who you are. Strength in saying, this is not acceptable. Nothing destroys your soul faster than letting someone else define your worth. You can love someone and not be loved back. That doesn't make you weak. But if you let that erode your self-respect, that's where the real loss begins. Stand up. Step out of the fog. Stop being the good guy. who silently suffers. Be the grounded man who, when not loved, knows when to walk. Not out of pride, out of dignity, not out of coldness, out of clarity, not out of spite, out of knowing you deserve a love that doesn't require you to lose yourself to keep it. Love is not worth more than self-respect. And if you have to choose you before you choose anyone else. I know it's easy to say. Letting go of someone who once meant everything isn't simple. I'm not writing this to teach you how to love or to judge your pain. I just want to remind you of one thing. If you see yourself in this story, it's time to save yourself before you try saving the love. A man isn't weak because he's hurt. He's only weak if he keeps pretending he's fine while breaking inside. If you're carrying this pain alone, say something. Leave a comment. Don't keep it buried like it's some shameful secret. Who knows? Your story might be the light someone else needs in their own darkness. And if this hits you somewhere deep, share it. Not for me. For the thousands of men out there suffering in silence, waiting for someone, anyone, to say it first. You're not alone. And your healing starts the moment you stop hiding, the moment you speak up, the moment you choose to live honestly, right now. Thank you for being here. If you found this video helpful, subscribe, turn on notifications, and like this video. Don't forget to leave a comment so we can spread positivity together.